Byram, of course, gets a 2-year contract extension with the Sabres. Going to chat about it with Chad DeDominicis, Expected Buffalo podcast and founder of Expected Buffalo, deep Sabres analysis. And, as we track this whole thing with Byram, we'll see if the Sabres can make it work, if, in fact, he is going to stay for those 2 years, though I guess the total of the 2 years. So joining us on the Western Hotline is Chad DeDominicis on this Thursday morning. Chad, good morning. Thanks for taking some time today. Were you shocked? I mean, if we can go back to the start of the offseason, do you end up shocked that Byram is still here and now has a 2-year extension?
Yeah, I think if you go back to April, probably. I mean, as it went along throughout the summer, no, but definitely if I went back to where it was in April, I thought it was a foregone conclusion that he was going. But I guess, the Paterka thing changed and couldn't find something they like, and here he is for 2 more years.
Do you think the Sabres were more willing or more eager to trade Byram, but the Paterka deal was the one that ultimately came to fruition, so that's the one they did?
I think so, because I think they ultimately got what they wanted in the Paterka deal, too, and that's the right shot defenseman. I don't think they were going to get significant value in that type of player back using Byram. And they said, and a lot of the insiders said, they really wanted to keep Paterka, so I think once that whole situation started to unfold and then the Utah, option with Kesselring, presented itself, they, decided that's the path they're going to go. And then they were so open moving Byram for something else. But, I guess it wasn't really out there. It wasn't, what they expected, which I'm a little bit surprised. But at the same time, maybe I'm not surprised. Teams are, I don't want to say smarter these days, but they have, everybody has numbers now. So everybody kind of sees all the same things that, you hope people don't realize that he's more a little bit of a Darlene merchant, but, teams notice those things too.
You refer to him as a Darlene merchant. For Byram, let's get into it. So what does he do well? How can they use him well? And is having him be a Darlene partner maybe not a long-term idea? You don't want to do that for, a 7-year, $70 million contract, but he's making, NHL top 4 defenseman money. So can he sit with Darlene for the year, and can the Sabres be better as a result of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think if they're going to put him with Darlene, that's going to be a really good pair. Their numbers last year, were fantastic. Among the tops of the league as a pair. They were above 50% shot share, above 50% expected goals. I think their goal differential was 70%. I mean, if you're getting those numbers out of your top pair, that's great. That's excellent. And that was the thing with the Byram. It was never an issue when he was playing with Darlene. That worked quite well. They meshed pretty good together. They flowed off each other. So that was never the concern. If they're just going to do that, that's perfectly fine and acceptable. The problem becomes if other pairings that you're hoping work don't. Because then you might have to pull Byram off of that Darlene pair. And we've seen in Buffalo that he doesn't really work with anybody else. We saw it in Colorado. They couldn't really find a partner for him really either that worked consistently. So he's not somebody who really can drive their own pairings. But, he has his upside. He moves the puck well. He skates well. I think there's some upside offensively, maybe not as high as some people think. And he can get by defensively. It's just that, you need to put him with a decent partner because we've seen it throughout his career. It is what it is. Some guys just can't do it. He just can't really drive his own pairing.
Chad DeDominicis is joining us on the Western Hotline, Chad of Expected Buffalo. Does Byram fit the offseason? Because they want to be tougher to play against, right? I mean, they've talked about a certain style that they want to be. They've talked about that a lot. Maybe it is just lip service because each and every season it seems like they're kind of talking about that. Does he fit? And I guess, I don't know. The whole thing, I think what Sabres fans struggle with, Chad, is that keeping him for a year or two more seems like it's just, plan B or maybe even plan C, because this is a player that they were actively maybe hoping to move, and all the reports about it being a softer market than they had expected means that they did not pull the trigger, which is something that Kevin Adams has probably criticized for a lot, that he does not pull the trigger. Is it fine, or should it be viewed as disappointing in the context of this offseason and what they're trying to accomplish?
Well, that's a good question. I think you can go on both sides of it. Does he fit the hard to play against part? No. He's not a physical player, make it more difficult to play against. Is it fine in the sense of a 2-year contract and what he's making and how they're going to utilize him? Yeah. That's not going to kill you. It's going to be easier to move. The way they're going to use him, he's a fine player. Probably one of the better partners that Darlene has had throughout his time in Buffalo. That's not really saying a lot, but still, I think by a considerable amount, he's one of the best partners he's had. But I think, when you then separate it from that, the overall disappointment of it seems the thing we say every year. You're one move short every time. Like if you just got that one more thing that you needed, you would probably be in a good shape. And that was my feeling on the Peterka thing. While it feels like a light return, I can live with it if you would have got the next move to. I don't even need you to go out and replace him with a 28-goal, 70-point forward. Give me a middle six forward that is decent, that can play two-way hockey, and I can buy into what you're doing, but. Now you're going to try to tell me, Jack Quinn and, Jason Zucker can just step into the Peterka spot. And I was like, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. But every year it's hope. It's hope this guy does it, hope that guy does it. And it's going to be year 3 of that. And maybe this time it works, or maybe it'll be the same as the last 2 years.
Is there maybe possibly still some hope that they would trade Samuelsson? Because, if the market's soft on Byram, I don't know what teams are going to think of Samuelsson, who does not bring the offensive upside really. And his own team, I don't know what they think of him. That people have seen him on the ice, what he does. They gave him a big, long contract extension because at the start of his career, he looked like a defensive stalwart, and that's not really played out the way they thought. So, what do you make of Samuelsson? Is it just run it back?
I would assume so at this point. There's just not a lot of talk out there that involved him really at all the entire offseason. I just think that there's people in that front office that still like him and believe what he can be. Now, the good news is that, in theory, the way this team is put on paper, he is going to be a third-pair defenseman instead of playing top minutes with Dahlin. And maybe in that scenario, he can, be fine, play with Connor Timmins as long as he can stay healthy. And it could be a decent third pair for you. He doesn't play enough minutes to hurt you. And you kind of just get by for at least one more season. But, yeah, I wouldn't anticipate. I honestly think they're done unless they grab a nice, cheap free agent here at the end. I would say this is your roster as you have it.
Yeah, which, I don't know, is that pretty uninspiring? What's the letter grade on the offseason? The Peterka trade that they're kind of bullied into a little bit. They get Kesselring, which is something that they wanted, okay, and Josh Stone. But that's the move, and Alex Lyon is your new, Reimer replacement. I feel like Sabres fans are probably tired of hearing the same old thing, but it seems like an offseason that really didn't get much done.
Yeah, my thing that I'm kind of rolling with is I think that they're a better team right now overall than they were when the season ended last year. But it's the degree of better. They missed the playoffs by 12 points. I think maybe they added 4 to 5 points. Clearly not enough to get where you need to go to be a playoff team. I like Kesselring. He was a guy I talked about a lot in the offseason. That's a good move. I think that'll help you. I've watched a lot of Josh Stone games. I've done a lot of digging on him. I think he's actually going to be a pretty sneaky, impressive addition. But again, that's not going to get you all the way. And really, it's just like I said, it's hope. You got to hope Josh Norris stays healthy. You got to hope Jack Quinn bounces back. You got to hope Luukkonen makes saves, and it just goes on. The list can go 5, 6, 7 deep, of hope things. And sure, if you get all of those things to go right, yeah, you can maybe beat what Montreal was last year and surprise some people and be in the playoffs. But still, it's so much that has to go right, and you're banking on young players. You're going to have a 21-year-old as your top 6 center. You're going to have a 20-year-old probably be a top 6 left winger. It's for a team that's really saying that they want to be a playoff team, it's hard to believe that that's what they're trying to strive for when all of those things, you look at.
Chad DeDominicis, Expected Buffalo, the website, the podcast on the Sabres. Chad, thanks very much, and we'll check in down the line if anything, ultimately does come of this. So, good luck to the Sabres, I guess,
We'll still have some fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chad.
All right, thanks.
Chad DeDominicis, Expected Buffalo.